Good morning.
Good morning.
And happy Sabbath. Well, we are 13 days into the new year. We just barely scratched the surface of this brand new year, and perhaps many of us made some resolutions at the start of the new year. And how is the resolutions holding on? What's that? Oh, that's good. Well, we'll pray for that. God will sustain you in that resolution. And of course, with your help. Brother Jose.
My resolution, to love Jesus more and more each day.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, I know you have some, unspoken resolution that you just want to keep it to yourself. That's fine. It's nice to have resolutions, right? 365 days, that was the year before. It's quite a while, a journey to traverse those 365 days. There were failures, there were successes, of course there were victories in our lives. Only you yourself and God knows whatever the situation was during those 365 days. And because maybe you just want to make some resolutions for this year, keep it something that it will hold through. Because they said usually 70% of these resolutions break up at the start of February and then go back again to what you were. Right? When we say resolutions, there is like what you call, I don't want to do something that was a failure in my life during the past year. I want to improve my life. I want to just forget those kind of failures, those weaknesses in the past, and I want to have a resolute plan that this 2018 will be something better. And I hope it will not just be until February, but throughout the year 2018. Now, I would like to ask you this morning, suppose you could change anything about yourself. Where would you start? Suppose you would like to change yourself because it is a brand new year. As I said, 13 days into this brand new year, what would be the thing that you would like to change this year? Lots of us would start on the outside. Usually. Lots of us would start on the outside. Would you be skinnier in 2018? Would you be shorter in 2018 or taller in 2018? In 2018, would you be better looking, perhaps? You would like to change that awkward look into a bitter look in this new year? Or would you change your eyes? Or would you change your hair? Or would you change your teeth? Or change your legs? Or maybe you change your bulges? Well, if you could have a magic wand and change your outward appearance, would it be a light touch-up or an extreme makeover? Would we even recognize you if you do that extreme makeover? I think we all go through periods, where we desperately want to change. We desperately want to change our outward appearance. Teenagers live in a state of constant fear that they don't look good enough. And so what happened? They tried to tinker. They tried to tinker that. They tried to tinker or experiment something. They tried to experiment something about fad or something about fashion or this t-shirt or this hat, perhaps, or whatever the latest, hip-hop artist that happens to be wearing. Talking about the outside world. But when we grow older, When we grow older, we get smarter, or do we? Well, we spend hours and hours trying to find just the right dress, maybe, or just the right t-shirt, or just the right pair of pants, so that we will fit in with whatever crowd we're trying to impress. And we diet obsessively. We diet obsessively and work out, which is, of course, good for our health, but can be a losing battle, because after we lose that weight and finally look good, it tends to come creeping back again. It's a losing battle. Finally, we reach the stage in life where it's easier to just simply try to cover it up, just cover it up, than lose it. Okay? And in extreme cases, we may just give it up altogether and stop caring how we all look. Just, well, give it up. You know, brothers and sisters, but as hard as it is to change on the outside appearance, what? It seems infinitely harder to change on the inside. It is infinitely harder. It seems infinitely harder to change the inside. If there is anything I would like to say today, if there is anything we know about human nature, it is that people change slowly. People change slowly, if they change at all. Think about the struggles of your life. I think about the struggles of my life. What would you change in the struggles of your life? About yourself. What is inside that we would like to change in this 2018? You want to change the inside? If you could do something about your being impatient, you have an impatient spirit. Would you like to change that? Would you like to change that critical tongue? Would it be that critical tongue that you want to change? Would it be envy of those around you that you would like to change? Would it be a spirit of discontentment? You were not so content in 2017, now you would like to change this discontentment in 2018? Or would it be lingering resentment? That hate with that somebody. You resented on that somebody the previous year. Would you like to change that? It is a character of the inside. Or would it be just lust that you cannot conquer? Lust that you cannot conquer. Or would it be financial mismanagement? Would you like to change that? Or would you like to change a guilty conscience? A guilty conscience. Or would you like to change that inability to work with others? You know, there are people who are just good in, working together. But there are also some few who would like to work together. Would you like to change that attitude of, unable to work with others? Or would you like to change that overbearing stubbornness? Overbearing stubbornness. Or would you like to change that judgmental spirit? Are you a judgmental person? Before talking to that person, you already have a conclusion. That's judgmental. That's what you call prejudice or prejudice. Would you like to change that judgmental spirit? Or would it be a quick temper? Before you think, you already said something. That's quick temper. Before the brain would think, your lips already told something that's not right. Would you like to change that quick temper? Or would it be a profound discouragement? Maybe you are so discouraged of living this kind of life, discouraged. Would you like to change that kind of attitude? Or would it be an inability to appreciate life? Because you are discouraged, you don't appreciate life. You don't even appreciate the people around you. Would you try to change that? Or would you try to change the ungrateful spirit? Ungrateful spirit. Do you have a spirit that is not thankful, even if it is not good. If times is challenging you, are you still ungrateful? Would it be an ungrateful spirit? Or would you like to change a disorganized life? It's just because you're not an organized person, that's why life to you is a mess. You have not tried to organize your life, so it's a disorganized life. So would you like to change or make it into an organized life? If there is something that you would like to change inside, would it be an inability to say no? You know, some people or most of the people, they just say yes. Okay, yes. They cannot say no. They are a yes person. Well, it seems good, but sometimes it's also good to say no. Would it be a mean streak you cannot seem to get rid of? In this life, there might be something that is, streaking in you that you cannot just get rid of. I don't know that. It's only you and God. Maybe you just have to change that. We all want to change, right? We all want to change something. In fact, there was a quotation that says, the only permanent thing in this world is what? Change. Permanent, but change. The only permanent thing in this world is change. We want to change something, but we don't know how to do it, and we don't know where to begin. We all dream of being something different. We all dream of something, become a better person than the person we are today. We all dream that. Well, advertisers know this. Have you noticed? You know, when you're watching TV or maybe on the internet, advertisers know this. You know, that's why your email boxes or your email box or inbox is crammed with ads promising that you can lose weight now. All right, you can lose weight now, make money overnight, learn a new language, promising that you will become a better lover. All these ads on the internet. I received, in fact, one on the other day that said, watch unwanted pounds melt away. That was an advertisement. Watch unwanted pounds melt away. I like that metaphor. It sounds like fun. Well, according to that advertisement, take the pill or eat this supplement or drink this super duper energy drink, and presto, those unwanted pounds will just melt away. What could be easier? What could be easier? Change is hard, isn't it? Change is hard. Go to any bookstore, and you will see an entire wall of that bookstore of self-help books. You know, helping people change is big business nowadays. But when we get up in the morning and look in the mirror, it's the same old person looking back at us. It's the same old person looking back at us. That's why we move, change jobs, get a difficult facelift, buy a new car, start a new career, find a new boyfriend, go to a new church, join a chess club, start working out, buy a new outfit, and on and on and on it goes. It's not as if those things are wrong in themselves. Sometimes we need to make outward changes. But it's not the outward stuff, my friends, brothers and sisters, that trips us up. It's the stuff on the inside that we cannot seem to fix. It's the stuff in the inside that we cannot seem to fix. That's why it brings me to my text today. One of the better known verses in the New Testament. If you have your Bibles with you, please open it to Romans. Romans chapter 12. That was read earlier. If you have your smartphone, perhaps there is a Bible application there, whatever version that will be. It says in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, one of the best known verses in the New Testament. It says right there in verse 2 of Romans chapter 12, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to rest and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. That's the version of the New International Version. You know, a Christian professor once told his students that it wasn't good enough, or it's not enough merely to know Bible knowledge. Though it is important, but it is not enough to know Bible knowledge. We're all about transformation. Remember that word. We're all about transformation, he said. That's exactly what it should be. Transform or transformation. You know, I'm for Bible knowledge. Maybe all of us are for Bible knowledge. You know, in our Sabbath School quarterly, we always study about the Bible. You know, last quarter, what was the theme of last quarter? In our Bible, in our Sabbath School quarterly. Salvation, what? By faith alone. The last quarter of 2017. That was the theme of the whole 3 months. Salvation by faith alone. The quarter before that, what was the theme? Huh? It was about the gospel in Galatians. Okay, now this quarter, what is the theme? First quarter of 2018. Stewardship, right? Stewardship. These are all things from the Bible. It's a great idea to diligently study and learn the Bible. But again, knowledge alone from the Bible will not save us. Knowledge alone will not save us, and knowledge alone will certainly not change us. What good is that knowledge of the Bible if you don't change yourself? Really? You've got to do something with the knowledge that you have. You've got to do something with the knowledge that you have. Otherwise, all you end up with is a paper or just a computer full of notes and full of outlines. Here's my key point this morning. Most of us change very slowly, if we change at all. That's the key point. Most of us change very slowly, if we change at all. And few of us make any lasting changes, except under pressure, and as a result of personal gain and personal pain. There is no growth, my friends, without a struggle. We just are content on a bed laden roses, or a bed that is laden with roses. Sometimes we get away with those thorns. But again, I would like to challenge us this morning that there is no growth without struggle. You know, as high school coaches have been telling students during these years, what did he say? No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. Long-held habits can be changed, but it won't happen overnight. It won't happen overnight. Patterns of sin can be broken, but it will take more than a quick prayer at the end of the worship service. You can see significant growth in your spiritual life. I can see significant growth in my spiritual life, but it won't come out without a cost. It won't come out without a cost. As long as your life, as long as our life is going well, why should you change? You might ask. As long as my life is okay, why should I change? Living together in close proximity over a period of months means that whatever is in your heart will come out sooner or later. It will come out, and it will really show who you are. If you've got a tendency to cut corners, your friends will spot it. They will spot it. If you fudge on the truth, if you're a chronic excuse maker, if you have a critical point, if you have a root of bitterness, or if you are just a difficult person to be around, all of it is bound to come out eventually. It will come out eventually. Now at last, you can do something about it, brothers and sisters. We can do something about it. That something is what Romans 12 verse 2 is all about. It tells us that we can be transformed when our minds are what? Are renewed. We can be transformed when our minds are renewed. How does that happen? Number one, we must be transfigured on the inside. Transfigured on the inside. You know, the Greek word transform in Romans 12 verse 2 is related to the English word metamorphosis. Metamorphosis. Perhaps you have come across with that word in science, in high school, or maybe in college. You will recall in 7th grade, you know, most of us passed 7th grade science class. That metamorphosis is what? It is the process by which a caterpillar becomes a what? Butterfly, correct. It becomes a butterfly, and a tadpole becomes a what? Frog. That's metamorphosis. So, there is a gradual change on the inside that produces a total transformation on the outside. So, a worm, you know, a caterpillar becomes eventually butterfly. A tadpole in the process becomes a frog. So there is that change from the inside, and it will show into the outside. You know, I use the word transfigure, because that is the same Greek word that is used for the transfiguration of Christ. Remember when Jesus was transfigured on the mount that evening? Because it shows right there when the true glory of Christ began to shine through his humanity. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became radiant, intensely white, as no one on earth could bleach them. That's found in Mark 9, verse 2 and 3. So the word means to be transformed from one thing to what? To another. Think of it. When Jesus was transfigured right there on that mountain that evening, he did not cease to be Jesus. He was still Jesus. But he was transfigured. He was still who he had been for many months. But for a brief time, that evening, the curtain was pulled back. The curtain was pulled back, so to speak, and James, Peter, and John, the three disciples, the inner circle of Jesus, saw as much of the true divinity of Christ as any man can see and still live. In that moment, they saw the real Jesus. They saw the real Jesus, the true Son of God from heaven. He did not cease to be a man. He did not cease to be a man, but his true identity was revealed to them as the true God. Now consider again that caterpillar. What happens? What happens when the caterpillar enters the cocoon? You know, the caterpillar enters the cocoon, only to emerge later as a what? Butterfly. All right. So the caterpillar doesn't change its basic nature. The caterpillar doesn't change its basic nature. Metamorphosis reveals what was always there in the genes of the caterpillar. There is always that there in the genes of the caterpillar. But you know what? Caterpillars cannot fly, right? Have you seen a caterpillar fly? No. Caterpillars cannot fly. But they were born to fly. Remember that. Caterpillars cannot fly, but they were born to fly. How do you solve this conundrum? How do you solve that? They cannot fly, but they were born to fly. It's a conundrum, right? Metamorphosis. That's the word. Metamorphosis or transformation. When the caterpillar has been changed into a butterfly, it becomes what God always intended it to be. God intended it to fly. That's why eventually that caterpillar or that worm will fly. Now just study a caterpillar for a moment. I know you have great imaginations. I haven't been able to make my slides, so you cannot see the illustration, but just imagine the caterpillar and study it for a moment. Imagine it. Better yet, take a half dozen and put them on a table. For example, put a half dozen of caterpillars on a table and let them crawl around. Crawl around. Now suppose you know nothing about metamorphosis. If someone said, those crawly things will turn into butterflies one day, you would think it was a joke. They're just crawling there, and one day that someone will say they will fly. It's a joke, right? You cannot tell by looking at a caterpillar that one day it will fly. It seems impossible. It seems impossible. You know, there was a story about a guy when he was still a student at the Bible Institute at college. His assignment, because they had work education, his assignment was to be in the kitchen by 5:30 in the morning to help make bread for breakfast. A lot of times he ended up with the flour up to his elbow making bread for breakfast. A lot of times. The next, you're the head of the worldwide, he became the head of the worldwide ministry of Word of Life. But when he was a student, he just worked so hard, not thinking that one day he will become the worldwide director of the ministry of Word of Life. When the Apostle John said that now we are the children of God and what we will be has not yet been made known. If you notice that verse in 1 John 3 verse 2, he was talking about our future. John was talking about our future when we are with the Lord in heaven. But it is also true in this life. God, my friends, is in the transformation business. And you cannot tell who you will end, where, or what plans God has for you and for me tomorrow. Because He is in the transformation business. God is determined that we will all be like Jesus in the end. We will all be like Jesus. Romans 8:29 says that we are predestined to be conformed to the image of His Son. God planned us that way. Before we committed sin, He planned us that way. Now I'd like to give you this short story and then we will end. You know, in 1464, there was a sculptor named Agostino di Docio, because he was working on a huge piece of flawed marble. He was working on the flawed marble, intending to produce a magnificent sculpture of an Old Testament prophet for a cathedral in France, Florence, Italy, sorry. So he labored for 2 years. This sculptor, Agostino di Docio, labored for 2 years and then stopped. In 1476, that 12 years later, there was another sculptor, Antonio Rosilio, started to work on the same piece of marble and in time abandoned it. He just abandoned it. In 1501, there was a 26-year-old sculptor. His name was Michelangelo. Does that ring a bell? Yes. 1501, 26-year-old sculptor. Michelangelo was offered a considerable sum of money to produce something worthwhile from that enormous block of marble called the Giant. So he began to work. He saw the major flaw of that marble near the bottom that had stymied other sculptors. Maybe that was the reason why they just abandoned it, because of that thing right there at the bottom. There was a flawed thing that they were having a hard time. So Leonardo da Vinci just worked and worked on it. He decided to turn that part of the stone into a broken tree stump that would support the right leg. The rest he worked for 4 years until he had produced the incomparable David. David. Today, the 17-foot tall statue stands on display at the Accademia Gallery in Florence, where people coming from around the world to view it. More than a masterpiece. More than a masterpiece. It is one of the greatest works of art ever produced. It has been said that there is no statue more perfect. How did he do it? How did Michelangelo do it? Here is the answer in his own words. He said these words: "In every block of marble, I see a statue as plain as though it stood before me, shaped and perfect in attitude and action. I have only to hew away that rough walls that imprison the lovely apparition to reveal it to the other eyes as mine sees it." And in colloquial terms, in other words, it said, I cut away everything that didn't look like David. That's all he did. He just cut everything that didn't look like David. Now, applying this to our spiritual life, all of us are works in progress. All of us are works in progress. We're not finished yet. You're not finished yet. I'm not finished yet. We are work in progress. We are not glorified yet. We are not perfected yet. We are not completed yet. We are all under construction, my friends. We are all under construction. If you've ever visited a construction zone, what did you say? Or what will you see? What will you hear? You know that it's noisy. It looks messy in a construction zone. While the hammering and the sawing continues, it's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine what the final result will be. But God, my friend, never stops working on us because there is so much work that needs to be done. If you concentrate on your weakness, you will lose your confidence. If you concentrate on God's faithfulness, you will grow in confidence. May the Lord bless us. This is my prayer.
Amen.
At this point,